Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to the last days. We have been scammed for thousands of years. I just came from my research experience of fellowship, and one Ku Klux Klan Baptist, and those people are quite nice. They're about to lose everything because the cockroaches are coming. If you ever watched Doctor Who, the cockroaches are like the dialects, right? And they're coming from other lands that they've destroyed already: California, Texas, Florida, New York, New Jersey, Charlotte, North Carolina. I've lived in all these. The cockroaches come and devour the marrow of life, loves co-creation. Hey, Danny. Mm-hmm. Palm Sunday, my favorite, right? Jesus rides in, and everyone basically declare him, the Messiah. Put down the palm as he rides in on his donkey, and the Pharisees and the rabbis basically, well, this boy will be good for business. We're getting a little old in the tooth, and no one really believes us anymore. We'll point him out. Hey, we've been talking about this guy forever. Here he is. He's our Messiah. And they were ready to offer him to live like a king and stop hanging out with the poor people, the sick people, crazy people, the lower class. And they said, hey, good to see you, buddy. You've been doing great work. Telling the Lord's word. And you've been doing it. We've just been keeping the books. So why don't you come on down to the temple on Tuesday and we'll have lunch. We'll work it out. So Jesus shows up and basically kicks the money changers out of the temple. And they're standing on the steps watching this happen, and they're going, this ain't our boy. He doesn't know that we're here for business, that we live in a reality of business and profit, and this is what it's about. So, I mean, we keep the law, right? Make sure everything is good as the book says, but not as the book lives. So he knows by doing that his goose is cooked, but it's been already. See, people don't realize that when, and in the beginning, all things were dark. What dark were they talking about? I think they were talking about dark matter, right? Dark energy. And then there was that big bang, flash of light. And what did you have? I had the first one. And the first one was Satan, right? Lucifer, the light giver, right? And it was like, whoa, baby. So, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, right? And Jesus is God, right? Pretty much. God is the power. People don't realize, what their electric light bulb is. It's not, the utility company. We just had a big kerfuffle with our utility company. The lights went out for a good whole 2 days. And our utility company is kind of small and somewhat insulated. And I live in the deep green. That's right off the main line, right? And we occasionally have an outage. If some cockroach is driving down the road. And our road, we only have one main road, Western Farm Road. Basically, you'll be driving around, and the main road goes from one city to another city, about 50 miles, maybe 60, right? And it goes right through the Sawtooth Mountain Range, right? So the road doesn't go straight, it does this, and this, and there's big lakes, and it's not just one big lake, it's got spokes, because they built a little dam that flooded the whole mountain range. So all the hollows got, where all the people who live in got flooded, right? And the one of the main reasons why they built that dam and put the 980 lines, and big power, like 9,800,000 volts, right? Big, a main power line, right? Allegedly coming from this little dam, little teeny dam, right? Not like Niagara, not like Boulder, not like any of the other gigantic dams that give us power, right? So, really, I mean, I went and saw that generator. I was one of those guys who fixed those things, and I knew the guy who was one of the major engineers, and said, "Oh, let me show you." Once we got talking about stuff, he said, "Let me show you this place." It was a teeny little place. Like, really? I said, "This is those big 980 lines," and he didn't say yes or no. Right? And basically, what it was something paranormal is at the base of the bottom of that lake, right? And it is that spirit. That in the beginning, all things were dark. And then the bang, big light, right? So that exists. And there's a thing called ley lines that are energetic lines of the planet that create the electromagnetic field around the planet so we don't get barbecued by the sun. So we can be at this nice little Goldilocks place, not too far, not too close, right? And there is a thing, a spirit, a energy, right? That's down there. And so I've been here 20 years. And about, 15 years ago, the Forest Service, we're going to build this little shed over here, right off one of the main roads. And took them 6 years to build a metal shed that was, like 100 feet this way and 200 feet that way, right? And, that's where we keep the equipment. It took them 6 years, right? And when they built it, they built a gigantic wall, 20 feet high, to see more people. people who drove by could see it, right? The only trucks, if you like sat on the side of the road for an hour, no trucks that went in it with a gigantic dump truck taking stuff out. And on a hill, about 6 miles away, at the very top, if you look down, you could see it. That's the only place you could see him there from up there. Right? So somebody told me about that. So this is when I was a hiker. So I drove in as far as I could, and then I hiked up that mountain and looked down. And you could see that these guys were digging up my unbelievable, gigantic hole, right? And so there is a facility under this lake that is playing with that energy, right? So this ain't the only place that this is going on. Or this is, like you go read, what's his name's Montauk Project, right? I was the guy who turned those guys onto that place back in the day when I was, helping stop the Shoreham nuclear power plant. I went to all the police. And first thing what I did was I was, my electrical engineer self said, well, we don't need this. Let's see what the utilization of power on Long Island is. Right? It was basically nothing. Nothing that the load that they had could cover, right? I mean, it could cover whatever the load that Long Island had, right? And you need a big power plant. And their big plan was that they were going to build like 16 of them because Long Island's surrounded by water, right? And the biggest issue of nuclear power is water, right? And this group of grandmas fought that tooth and bone. So instead of getting 16, they were just had one, right? And Shoreham, Long Island. When I found out about it, because I'd worked on those things out there in the Southwest, I basically went to look and said, hey, I'm one of you guys. I build these things right now. I'm a filmmaker. So I want to make a film about what you do. And they said, oh, that'd be great. So I went, they gave me a little tour that day. I said, oh, okay, I'm going to be back with my camera and we can do a nice little thing. I said, okay. We set up a date like about a month later. And I brought my mother, right? My mother is this, power of nature, right? She's a triple Capricorn, and she can see exactly what's going on, right? And she used to run gigantic organizations. Anthony, haven't seen you in forever. Praise Jesus, right? So I made a film of my mother. I didn't talk at all. Right? I just was the camera guy. But I filled her in on what it was. And she just did her thing, right? And she went in there looking like a queen. Her hair she never went out without her hair being perfect and her dress being perfect. Where me, I look like, I'm the direct opposite. I'm a total cheeky monkey, right? So she went around and she was like, this place is a mess. And they had controls just hanging from the ceiling instead of building walls and putting them on there for security's sake. They're just hanging there by their connectors. And she goes, is this this done? Why don't you build a wall first and then attach things to it? And they were like, right? Because this was just a moneymaker for J.P. Morgan and Mr. Rockefeller's banks. And the Price-Anderson Act was, totally protecting them. So, and this is like, Palm Sunday, right? The powers that be thought, make this great movie and it'll be great PR for us, right? So I made a couple copies. I sent them to the TV guys. Nobody played it. Because the utility company and the banks paid everyone off, just like today. I mean, every legislature you have is owned, not by you. They're not working for you, right? And so you're not part of the club, you know. Go watch George Carlin, right? If you want to get 411 on all of that. He spent the latter part of his life on that, right? So anyway, for 5 years, we worked at stopping the plant, and basically, I was the minister of joy, right? And because when you're doing something, when you're going up against the man, you can't go toe to toe. You can't, you got to be outside the box. And so I just made things joyful, right? And graceful, right? And I never gave any theologic speeches. I just kept talking to individuals that I saw that were linchpins and supported them and helped them do their best. That's what I did. And that's what I do, right? That's my talent. So I basically did that. And one of the things I realized strategically, I'm a good strategist, was that we had to have the police on our side. Because if we didn't, it'd be real easy for the powers that shouldn't be to just buy the police up, just like they have now, right? And militarize them, right? Mass shootings. And what is a mass shooting? Any more than 4 people being murdered in a singular incident. That's a mass shooting, right? And in the United States, we've had 138 so far this year. Yeah, 5th month here. No, it's not there yet. January, February, March, April, 4th month, right? Beginning yesterday was April Fool's Day, right? And so and Anthony, when you say praise Jesus, the words are almost meaningless, and it's a word for it, but against that, you have to have, at church today, I tried to explain to the flock that, Jesus' love is in our heart, not in the book, right? And if you can quote the book, that's nice, but it's better to live the book in your heart, right? Every time, and John wants, our canary in the coal mine, he wants to, and he is in his own way praising God, praise Jesus, because he is suffering for our soul. Let's see if he'll answer my phone. And I keep calling him the patron saint of misery, or Anthony. What do I call him? You know what I call him. So anyway, I got the records from the New York State Power Authority, and I looked at all the load. Who's using what, right? And why does Long Island, that only has a population of at that time about 500,000? Why do they need a gigantic nuclear power plant that can give enough juice for 1 million people, right? And also it was a hot reactor, meaning it was very similar to the kind of reactors they have in the naval ships. How do they get the kind of juice they need on those submarines, stay underwater forever? Well, because basically they run on, they call them, and like mind freaking boggling. Me, I just went to sleep. Actually went to Thailand. Anyway, so whenever you want to do any kind of political thing that's really going to cause a ruckus, you better get the police on your side. Right? When it got really serious, and Ronald Reagan signed an executive order, and they put a big red circle around the power plant and put up these signs saying, "If you cross this line, we will kill you." And they had mercenaries up there on top of the building with their 50 with their mollies, and we had the SWAT team, Suffolk County SWAT team, and they were on their black trucks and they had their mollies, and they said, "You shoot the kids, we're going to shoot you." Right? So it's always nice to have that. But yes, my job was strategy, logistics, and keeping everyone happy. Right? Because an endeavor like that's quite stressful. Right? And so I've told you about how all the cockroaches are coming in here, and they have pretty much already bought off the usual suspects. And so they are usual suspects are like closed down the library, closed down the hospital, and are destroying the school system. And they're forcing them all to go into the big city rather than all the little red schoolhouses. Instead of having pretty good education, they're going to be stuck, instead of being in a class where there's only 12, 15 kids in a class and the teacher's very attentive and they're very loving of the teacher, you're going to be stuck in an urban school, falling apart, covered in asbestos, and there's 60 kids in a class, right? So I've been talking to the churches and the people who, lead the community, say, listen, what do you think about this? Oh, no, this is terrible. So we don't want it to happen. I said, well, the only thing that's going to stop it is you guys. We're going to organize. I told them the whole story about the solar power plant, which was, everyone said it was impossible, right? We stuck that out for 5 years. The old ladies who all by themselves kept it one plant. I said, boy, if they can do this for 16 years, we can do this for about 5. Right. So anyway, that's what I told the people who could lead. I mean, I'm not leading anything, right? I can be the strategist. I can be the guy that make people laugh. I can be the guy all the time. Why I go to 3 churches? I go to their fellowship, right, where they talk about the Bible. I don't say much. I let them go on and on and on. And then at certain points where they have totally gone off the rails on their interpretation, they're preaching. I say, excuse me. And they got the Bible, they're reading the Bible, they got their notes, they're reading their notes. Me, I just talk. And so they're going on about Jesus and him dying and blah, 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 right? And I was telling you the story. He comes in on this day, Palm Sunday. They don't even go there because the Catholics, that's a big thing, so they don't even make a big deal about that. But that is a big deal because it was professed by God in the beginning, before Adam and Eve left the garden. God, allegedly, or I know, as he talks to me, it's not like, God's going, well, no, I don't do that. It's just how I feel about things, right? And, after you die, as many times as I have, you kind of have to pick up on that, right? Well, so good breakfast at this place. So I I've been talking to these guys last month about this, and basically what I'm realizing is that the state kind of has realized that, oh boy, there could be a problem with these guys. So they basically offered everyone early retirement at totally max payment. Or if you fight this, you get nothing, and you'll be, you won't even be able to pay your payment on your car and your house, and you'll be homeless. Either be well off and screw the kids, or try to step up for the kids. I said, no, forget that. This state is all about trying to get rid of schools and giving everyone vouchers and letting churches take over. You guys are a church. Your school is right across the street, right? Just take it over. Well, they don't want that because that would facilitate a community in this neck of the woods, and they don't want a community. They want the corporations to be there to destroy the woods, and they already have. I mean, you drive down that one county road, and the roads are destroyed because these big, gigantic dump trucks that are taking stone up top of the hills to make pads to build houses, and then they're not going to build them. They're just selling. They're clearing out a whole top of a mountain, 400 or 500 acres that holds the water, and puts a little road down to a country road. That's a country road, not even blacktop, right? And these big trucks have destroyed them, so these roads are sliding into the lake, and they're not doing anything about it. So, but they are selling these lots for 100, 200 grand a pop, and they're selling them to people that we have cattle, right? If you're a multimillionaire, you can come here. We can sell you like 4 acres, and you can build a house and a barn and have 12 cows. If you have 12 cows, that's enough to be a cattle rancher, and you don't have to pay any federal income tax on your multi-millions. Even as it's generating capital, you don't have to. It's like the oil companies get the biggest tax breaks of any, and they don't make any money. It's what's truly amazing. Guess what the sixth largest thing in our gross domestic product is? Art. Broadway, literature, movies, television, the internet. That makes more money than the oil business. The GDP in our oil is nothing. I mean, the oil guys, what their GDP into our economy is like, even though we force. And why is gas as expensive? It's because of the tax. Because that tax pays for the whole infrastructure of the oil industry, right? And the George Jetson, remember the Jetsons, right? Well, that guy knew all about Tesla, and he was just showing the world who watched the Jetsons what we could have had if we had just followed Nikola Tesla's lead, right? And he did that show in 59, 60, 61, 62. And that just got repeated over and over. But that's the world we should be living in. And some people do. If you ever watch the TV show Expanse, that's what's going on out there right now. Not like in 500 years from now. And good old Gene Roddenberry brought us the Federation, Star Trek. And again, that's what was already going on, right? And it was all around us. We were kind of, because of what we are and where we came from, we were isolated. That's why we have the Van Allen radiation event. Because, you go outside past where, the International Space Station, that's in what is known as low Earth orbit. Meaning if something goes wrong, let's say one of their little steering jets gets stuck and just points us towards the atmosphere and slowly pushes us towards it. That's it, baby. Within a day or two, our gravity and our atmosphere will catch a hold of that thing and suck it down to Earth. Now, that sucker is as big as a football stadium, It's one thing to have Skylab come down, but have one of those, let's say, come down into Manhattan or Chicago or Paris or Rome or Moscow. Oh, that won't be a pretty day for those people. That'll kill hundreds of thousands of folks. Because that ship has all kinds of propellants on it. Nasty, right? Hydrazine, stuff like that. Will make that train crash in Ohio look like a picnic. And have you seen the pictures of the morning after that, after the firemen had set the fire of the PVC, and the railroad didn't tell them the list of all the other nasty shit that was there. Basically, this is this picture from like this other county up on a mountain. It's looking towards the train. Like this big black column comes up, and it hits, goes up about 60,000 feet. And it hits the ionosphere, so the clouds start to go like this, and then the jet stream is getting it, and it looks just like an atomic bomb. Now, they didn't want to show that one on television. That would have scared the crap out of people. Right? But it's up there. I played it. 3 door had it, right? So
go watch the Jimmy Dore, or watch my, it's like 3 or 4 shows that away. So today is the last day, and when the last day occurs, it's like when 2012 happened. That was the end of the Piscean Age, right? Gone. So all of that energy that was the Piscean Age, and get it in what you want through violence, is gone. And it was replaced by the Aquarian Age, getting what you need through love's co-creation. But the inertia of 60,000 years of that, and the 20-something, 2,000-something years of that super duper energetics of the Piscean Age. So that's what we're experiencing. That's why we had the wars and the famines and the violence and all of that, right? But it's nothing close to what is in the New Testament. So it should be interesting. And how much juice we got left here? No, let's see. We've been on 37 minutes. I'm going to just leave you. Why don't you talk amongst yourselves? There's nobody there. That's why. So, yes, maybe I'll just. No, I'm going to come back. I'll be right back. There you go. When I come back, we'll call up Johnny. Maybe we'll call him up now. I'll be right back.
Get him over here. The pans did you get today? Yep.
Good morning, or it's good afternoon now.
Now it can be morning if you want us to be. Whatever we want today is
We
what
got another lady coming.
Okay, I'll bring you another super. Y'all gonna wait on her to order?
Yeah.
What y'all want?
I want water between them.
Well, that would be great.
Also, water. So we get him tomorrow.
Got a good commissioner on it, been on there for 3 years.
Y'all own the place by me. Interest a whole lot happening in that thing. Yeah. Should. That's for sure. I'm gonna say your thing in front of Kat. Yahoo!
You over here by yourself.
Yeah.
They just over here with all the friends.
Go away here for a while.
Well, yeah, I thought you'd first be here.
But she's a beautiful woman, that's what.
Is that
Oh,
right?
that's
Okay.
right.
Yeah. Now you got a compliment. You shake hands real quick. You got friends smart.
No, it won't.
She's a whole nurse. Put it on Richard's cane over there. Hands up, hanging on the cane. It's
Well, wait, try that.
leave us alone. See how he does me?
I'm just trying to help you out. I like that.
Everybody's a fan about it. We don't like to put our purses in. Yeah.
I don't understand why you're taking all the places.
Her beauty comes from the inside.
Yeah, that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Especially when you got the Lord in that.
We're
inside.
completely.
And that's what I'm talking about, buddy.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
no.
So, these trials and tribulations have been going on forever. And God put us in them, right? Put us square in it because we are his reflection. We are here to represent. Right? And he does, we don't realize that whatever we do, we represent, right? So, and that's where we're at. And you're here to, in every day and every way, take the piece of the earth and make it stronger, right? And so that's what's going on. And so that's why this is, it will not stand. Try Johnny Boy again.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you.
no,
Here is the.
not the Tom the T.
Yeah.
Tom the T. You better put it up.
You bought my dinner.
You better put it up. This Deacon said here.
We thought you was on there.
So that's the church.
Where's the menu?
My friend.
We want you by all there.
Yeah.
You got all the money. I'll be in bed like you are.
Like 50? Like 99?
Please leave your message for
You too, you doing okay? We saw Jack. We city didn't we?
Back there. They're hurting.
You know why I see him come in? From the prison. I did this one night when Tom was here.
That's what they used to say.
What's that?
They used to say, I'm glad he's still alive, because still takes alive on my
So, oh, what time is it? 12:20. Anyway, so anyone got any questions? Right? I'll tell you, the Charm Nuclear Power Plant, we fought every battle, we won every battle, lost all the wars, right? And that's Ronald Reagan just kept signing executive order after executive order to represent Mr. J.P. Morgan and Mr. Rockefeller. And basically, by that time, Ronnie was, you know, what'd you say, Nancy? You know, after he got shot, that was the end of Ronnie. They replaced him with a Stepford version, just like Biden. But you know, Biden is still that. He's still that. Virtually has destroyed this country. Has come out of his backing, right? Everyone, you know, no one had credit cards until Biden. Now everyone had somewhat of a safety net until Biden. You know, Bill Clinton, you know, he's the guy who, you know, basically got rid of the safety net. He's the guy who got rid of Glass-Steagall that gave us the economic crash that we're still going to have. We've been in free fall since then, right? Since '96 or so. He's the guy who brought, you know, all of those Soviet states into NATO. He's the guy who gave us never-ending wars. He's the guy, and Jojo, the used car salesman, was his boy in the Senate, right? And we are the ones who voted for him, right? So everyone has a nice little bit of but I, you know, hooked up to the School of George Carlin, political science, and so instead of thinking globally, acting local, you know, I basically was acting local and globally, right? And I did my best to represent. You know, not perfect. Couldn't, you know, I'm not Jesus, but I am his buddy. I am one of his lucky bastards, you know, so I've represented. You know, I could have easily, many times just sat back and counted the Benjamins, but pretty much didn't. I don't have to do this show, you know. You know, like, you know, it's not going, you know, I'm not making nothing out of it, except I'm representing, right? I'm telling you stories. I'm giving you opportunities. And more than 100 of you have gotten a hold of me. And if you want to get a hold of me, dudewake42@gmail. Dudewake42@gmail. And if you want to throw something to PayPal, I think it still works. It looks like it still is. No one's put anything there since, you know, a few weeks before Thanksgiving. But again, I'm always taken care of, so it's not a problem. I'm here doing what I'm supposed to be doing, whatever that is. I have no. Don't ask me. I don't know. Let's see. Hold on, these guys. Let's see. Who else? Oh, somebody just jumped in. Who just jumped in? Oh, Margaret Artist. Hey, Slim. Maybe I'll give you a call. Mr. Magic is back. Yes. So I was talking about, you know, that Easter Sunday and Palm Sunday is almost more important because, I mean, Jesus had been setting everything up in his life from the moment he was born, right? He just kept working on it, right? And that movie, The Last Temptation of Christ, is quite. I like that movie, you know? And you know, it's so that's why this is so important. If you watch that movie, you'll see why this is so important, because it was the last temptation, right? He could have bailed out at any, you know, he's coming in and they want to make him king. All he had to do is go see the Pharisees and the rabbis and sign on to be their king. He would have been their king, right? He would have had a big throne and a big castle and everything he ever materially anybody would want. He would have, and he could have been the same guy, you know, bringing the blind, the dead, and all of that. He could have done that dog and pony show. Right? As you know, did you ever see Princess Bride? And there was Magic Max, right? And they bring our hero. It was like, you know, and he goes, well, you know, he's not quite dead. He's almost dead, right? Now, I've been in that state a couple of times, so I know what it's like. And Magic Max brought him back, right? So that is an interesting state of affairs. But Jesus didn't. He went, and when he's having the Last Supper, it's when he said, somebody was saying, he was on the last thing he said on the cross was, why are you forsaking me? No, he didn't do that. It was when he was out in the garden trying to introduce the boys to, God, and every time he turned around, they were asleep. Right? So, I mean, that's what he got pissed off. God, why do I have to deal with these morons? Right? That's what he was saying. And then again, I heard people go on and on and on about how nobody was there to witness. That's not true. The guy who stuck the spear in Jesus' side, he witnessed Jesus because he did exactly what he had to do. He gave to prove, because it was foretold that Messiah, he would come back from the dead in a perfect body. And they were killing these guys on Friday morning, right? It usually take 3 days for guys to die on the cross, right? And it was a high holy Sabbath, not just a usual Sabbath where people fall asleep in temple. No, he basically, they had the big whoop-de-doo coming. So the head rabbis went to, Pontius and said, hey, we got these guys have to die before sundown, right? Or else it'll screw all our sacrifices up. It'll be defiling, right? And Pilate said no, because he didn't like the way this was going. And then, they basically got him behind the 8 ball, and he said, okay, do whatever you want to do. Just like he said, I'm not going to, I'm going to give you, Jesus instead of, give us Barabbas, So, and so he knew it was wrong, and he didn't want to be written down as, I washed my hands for the whole affair, right? So anyway, the only way they could get those guys down was to go break their legs, because then they would die like that, right? Instead of suffering. So they wanted them down and buried before the sun went down. But the prophecy said, Messiah is a guy who is buried without being screwed up, right? Without his legs being broken, right? And where they put the stakes through his feet and hands, they didn't break any bones. Just made a hole, right? So that was one, because Messiah, he died by around 3. From noon. It was a sunny day when he was carrying that thing up to the top of the hill, and from about noon till 3, it was almost dark as night, right? And then they were sent to break everyone's legs and get them off the cross. And before that happened, first they did one guy, and then they did the other guy. But before that happened, one of the centurions stuck him, and out of his side came blood and water. What that meant was that his heart broke physically, right? And the blood was from his heart, and the water was from the fascia of his body, and because mostly it's gooey, but after you die, it turns to water. So, and blood and water coming out means, he's dead. I mean, that's like medical. He's dead, and these guys are professional soldiers. They knew what dead was. So they didn't break his legs. They took him down, and then Joseph Arimathea came, who was a high on the Jewish. He's high of one of those Jewish politician guys, and he came, not disguised, but he was he understood who, he believed in Jesus, so he wanted to put him in a cave like he was a king, and that was a cave that nobody, where they buried people, they put people up on the slab and let them decompose, and then they take the bones out and put it in a box and put it over in the corner. Jesus was the first one in that cave, right? It was brand new for somebody like a king, right? They covered him in like 100 pounds of myrrh and herbs and all the, but like what they would do for a king, and then they left. But the whole time, the women, Mary Magdalene and Jesus' mother Mary, and the rest of the temple priestesses were there, as they always were. They were his real crew, not the moron boys, right? So who did that? And I don't know this guy, you know. So morons plus, monkeys with a typewriter, 300, 400, 500 years later. That's what the King James is. That's why it's King James and not King God.
Parked on the other side.
So, Mr. Magic, what do you got to say about all that? And that's why Palm Sunday is so important, because it was a nonstop roller coaster from that point to Jesus, rising from the dead a week later. Now, he rose tons of people from the dead. You'd think these guys would, because they didn't, his homeboys didn't think, he's dead. We better run out. We better hide. We better, go back to fishing, whatever. And but no. So here it is, Palm Sunday, and this will not stay, right? And
Oh no.
the poor, the innocent, they're not going to suffer from this, right? So it'll be interesting to see what happens, and leave it up to you guys to figure it out or ask me questions. We've been here now 58 minutes and seconds, and this little chatty thing would be good if you guys were to ask some questions so we could have a dialogue. And you can get a hold of me at the Dudaway42 at Gmail, and a lot of folk have, and I'm here to serve in love co-creation. That's what I'm here to do. So I've had all these other lives of and experience and seeing and understanding and living high on the hog. So, and I won't even tell you what that means. Unless somebody asks me. So I'm gonna give Johnny Boy one more try. One more try. Hey, John, I'm going to call you for a third time. I want to hear what you feel about Palm Sunday to Easter Sunday. That's an important week for all those who praise Jesus, praise God. So I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. Okay? I'm going to call you in a few moments. So I've just been thinking, loving, prayerful thoughts. Praise Jesus, praise God. All the best, my friend. Talk to you soon, I hope. I've tried to get a hold of you for a while, and you're incommunicado, seemingly. Talk to you later.
He's April Fool's Day every day. I told him what break. I saw on Facebook it's a mass company. It's Virginia Mountain Tours. They put an ad on Facebook. They never take reservations.
Hey, Al, I'm slow, make the paper.
Yeah, right now. And we're going to take reservations for a trip next year to somewhere in outer space. Oh boy. I don't go back. What in the world that would be?
If I got it, they probably keep me.
Yeah.
I think I'm back.
Who was it said that? Glenda said they had something on Facebook about Brady and his dance. Glenda what?
Kevin O'Leary is one of the most successful, certainly most famous
Yeah, her songs that he made.
This is John Birmingham's Palm Sunday video.
It's like a joke sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going on. It's like a joke sometimes. It makes me wonder how I
Well,
keep
look where he's
from going
living.
on.
Look at that place. Kind of nice.
Movie glass everywhere. People on the stage, you know they just don't care. I can't take the smell, can't take the noise. Got no money to move out, I guess I got no choice. Rats in the front room, roaches in the back, junkies in the alley with the baseball bat. I tried to get away, but I couldn't get far, cause a man with the touch repossessed my car. Don't push me, cause I'm close to.
That's John's Birmingham's
You're up for me right now, sweetie.
Palm Sunday message. Anyway, let's see. What else can I say? Not much. I'm having tacos, so that's nice. Okay to eat lentils on Lent. Yep. Yep. Amen.
He's making this rap song.
Hippity hoppity.
Yes, I'm sure it will.
Get it.